Hey guys, Legendary Grimlock here, and today we have Grimlock from the comics versus Hyperion from the Heroes Reborn 2021 series. Basically, this, I guess you could kind of say it's 616 Hyperion, but then again, it's just, I don't know. He was creating the text tube by Mephisto. But without further ado, let's begin here, and we'll start off with Hyperion here. Now, this Hyperion is from I guess you could say, a reality where it was altered for specifically for the Squadron Supreme to be predominantly on top here. However, he has done some things where it just puts him on top entirely. Let's start off with his basic hacks and his hand-to-hand combat skills, which is something I really don't do for characters of this caliber, at least most of the time. Now, his atomic vision is actually ridiculously strong, one of the strongest fire powers in his first. And it was able to punch through dimensions itself here. Obviously, this Hyperion is universal here. He's done some feats where he's just well beyond the standard power level or the standard levels of some tiering systems where you have like complex multiversal, hyperversal, stuff like that. Here he's easily in the outerversal category. The reason why is because he was able to defeat characters such as the Juggernaut, Hulk, and he's confirmed to be the strongest being on Earth. This even includes characters like the Hulk, and he was even able to beat a Thor despite the fact that the magic around him in both Wakanda and in Thor's hammer was draining him. He was also able to defeat a Beyonder with some limited reality warping powers, and it was kind of just, I don't know, it was a little bit weird for that run here. In terms of his hand-to-hand skills, he was trained by Gladiator in the Imperial Guard. Keep in mind, Gladiator is one of the more skilled heavy hitters in the Marvel Universe. I would actually say up there with characters like Hercules, Thor. I'll probably say he's more skilled than Thor, considering he's actually beaten Thor repeatedly when it comes to like hand-to-hand combat fights. This Hyperion is a little more brutish than anything else here when it comes to like hand-to-hand prowess. He's not as skilled as the other members of the squadron like Nighthawk and Power Princess. However, he has his merits. He has his fighting style. He has his own style that pretty much fits him here. Now, in terms of his speed, he should have inaccessible to immeasurable levels of speed here. The reason why I would say this is because in his specific comic run, which was, I guess you could say, more catered towards him, as each Squadron Supreme member kind of had their own run, which was, or at least, sorry, their own issue or comic that was dedicated to them. He was actually able to speed blitz Silver Surfer so fast that Silver Surfer actually stated that he was way too fast for him to perceive here. And again, he was also able to go toe-to-toe with characters like Hulk and Thor, who have been able to do things like shatter celestial armor, being able to, destroy entire universes, even things that have like the concept of imagination attached to them, like Nightmare's Dream World and stuff like that. And again, with characters like Silver Surfer being able to cross into time streams under his own speed and stuff, being able to react in nanoseconds, he again cements himself as an outerversal character. So that's going to pretty much do it for Hyperion here. So let's move on to Grimlock. When it comes to Grimlock scaling, I've updated myself a plethora of times here. So what you guys are going to see is some of the more updated information I was able to get here. So Grimlock would easily scale to Outerversal here. One of the few things you can use to actually get him there, or at least what I use to get him there, is for one, his scaling to Alternities. Now, Alternities are quantiversal beings here. These are beings that would exist on what's the word I'm looking for? A 10th dimensional or a multi-dimensional level. The alternity plane itself is also described as a 10th dimensional to multi-dimensional plane with multiple properties to it. It's also known as a higher spatial realm. Beings like Hyperion are confirmed to be super dimensional beings, meaning that they exist beyond the order of dimensions. I think that's the definition for it from the last time I checked here. And Hyperion himself is a being that can eat the universal stream. Now, the universal stream itself is also, well, I guess you could say every Transformers continuity, right? And Grimlock is able to fight beings and even kill beings that Optimus Prime and Megatron have to pretty much transcend in order to fight these beings, right? Keep in mind, it doesn't stop there as well. Megatron and Starscream are beings who or able to beat Hyperion and even take his power. And they were also able, before even pretty much getting that kind of power here, they were able to sever and even consume all of time itself, even threatening to basically destroy the entire time stream, even conquer it if they wanted to. You also have other things in the Transformers verse that Grimlock has done, like being able to beat Soundwave and Shockwave here. Base Shockwave is around the same levels as Optimus Prime and Megatron, who have done things to basically beat beings that can merge all of creation and stuff. There's also Matrix level scaling, with the Matrix being comparable to the Star Saber, which could pretty much one-shot an entire Transformers multiverse if it wanted to. Grimlock is also superior to the conceptual universes within Transformers, as he was able to beat Soundwave. Soundwave, a character that could damage a Phase 1 completion of Regenesis Shockwave, who was powered up by these concepts here, or at least made his body into fragments of these concepts here and was able to manipulate them. Keep in mind, this includes life, death, resurrection, power, destruction, cold, time, space, reality, so on and so forth here. Shockwave made himself, or at least made his body, out of these concepts or of the fragments he needed to basically make this super powerful body, and Soundwave was able to damage it, even like busting holes in it. Yes, he was able to regenerate, as that's one of his many abilities, but again, he's still able to, do this. Now, Grimlock would be superior to I guess you could say, to the Regenesis Shockwave feat, where he was also going to basically just destroy everything, even the concept of things like change, past, present, future, and all that. The reason why I would say that is because in the Takara Tommy run, or the Volcanicus Takara run, right, he was able to defeat an avatar of Primus. Basically, this corrupted Neo Primus was basically just it was an evil version of Primus. Like Unicron and stuff like that. These beings are made of platonic concepts, or at least these avatars are noted to be made out of platonic concepts, which transcend dimensions by the virtue of their existence, which would make them universal. So Grimlock being able to defeat an avatar of Primus pretty much proves itself as as a kind of a superior feat to Regenesis Shockwave, who was just going to destroy everything the IDW multiverse had to offer, while avatars of Unicron, Primus, and the 13 original Primes are stated to be threats to the entire Omniverse. And again, there are other cosmologies within the Omniverse, like I said earlier. For example, Dungeons and Dragons cosmology can easily get to Universal because they have things such as the Abyss, which has an infinite number and infinite large, planes that it pretty much exist in there. Then there's the what is it? The material plane, I think it was, right? Which again has an infinite number of universes and multiverses. Then there's the symbiotic relationship between beings like the demon lords and stuff like that. And then there are also the Cthulhu mythos, which has things like, well, I think I just kind of explained it earlier. It can get to universal to boundless if you really do the scaling of certain beings in there. Now, as for speed, Grimlock would be faster than light, many times faster than light, to immeasurable levels of speed here. And this is not only because he's able to grab and tag Seekers, who are able to fly around and even fight around things such as black holes, but he also was able to defeat Soltron in his 5-issue King Grimlock run, which was pretty decent now that I really go back and look at it. And Soltron was a being that had infinite everything, infinite strength, infinite speed, infinite durability. Bro had it all. And Grimlock still killed him. That's the irony of the whole situation. You have all this infinite power, the god of the sun, this light god itself, where he had infinite everything. And Grimlock was still able to kill this guy. The irony of that whole situation, right? All that power, you get beaten by a robotic dinosaur. Crazy, right? So, Grimlock versus Hyperion is one of my few favorites in all of the Grimlock versus battles I had to make here, because, in all honesty, it's one of the few times I actually use a fraud character on my channel. You see, the Squadron Supreme in general are generally frauds, right? Now, Hyperion did not have the best showings in his run. I'm going to be real here. None of the Squadron Supreme members actually had the best showings when it came down to their final battles or against characters who knew that their reality was fake. You see, the Squadron Supreme were in this amalgamation of the 616 universe where everybody was nerfed intentionally. Everybody was weakened intentionally to the point where the Squadron Supreme could win. And even then, there were characters in that universe could kill him. Hulk, with his physical brute strength, was even confirmed by Hyperion himself that he was able to kill him. And Hulk wasn't even in a, okay, I can't really say in an angry mood, but he wanted to be made happy. And Hyperion also got killed by Wolverine. How do you get killed by Wolverine? Yes, he had magical claws and stuff, but Wolverine, I don't understand. Wolverine, really? Out of all the people you get killed by, it's Wolverine, right? You out here fist fighting Thor, you get killed by Wolverine? I'm just saying. Now, the reason why this reality was the way it is was because of the Hell Cube, which me and my friends pretty much call it. This cube was basically made to give the Squadron Supreme everything they wanted. They got everybody. You know, everybody from Phoenix Force users like Phoenix Force, Jean Grey and stuff, where she had the Dark Phoenix, even Celestials, and even Thanos, which was actually surprising, were manipulated by this cube here in order to give the Squadron Supreme a upper hand on everybody. But when they fought the actual Avengers, they were struggling. And I mean struggling bad. Like, yeah, Hyperion is weak to magic. But again, it was to the point where a Thor, keep in mind this is a Thor that should have had the power cosmic and half of the Own Force. Thor didn't have that. That was a base and then an additional layer of being weakened Thor. And Hyperion was struggling to beat that Thor. Now compare that to Grimlock here, who was noted to have contingency plans placed in him because the Autobots feared his power. Even characters like Optimus Prime had feared his power. And again, we're talking about somebody who's fought and competed against beings with infinite power. Now you might say, well, Hyperion's done that. Again, they were specifically weakened to, what's the word I'm saying here? Basically, they were narratively written or narratively made to be weaker than the Squadron Supreme. And they still won. And the sad part is Hyperion was getting knocked out by characters, pretty much getting dog walked and manhandled by characters like Black Panther, Captain America, and again was killed by Wolverine. And it's sad here because this means Grimlock is going to have a much easier time than I thought in the original video. You see, Grimlock has not only better hand-to-hand mechanics than the Hulk, who Hyperion was struggling with badly, but the sheer fact that he's durable enough to tank the atomic vision, he's durable enough to tank the, dimensional level of attacks here. And I didn't even get into his weapons, like his sword and shield, which cut on I think it was on a ionic level, one of the smallest particles that we even know. And it's absolutely insane here how he even scales to characters that can eliminate all forms of time. This would even include plank time, which is one of the smallest times we even have. And who knows how small or how many time frames are within the Transformers. And again, keep in mind their time frames are much different than ours. So imagine what a plank time looks to them. It's probably larger, which is actually pretty ridiculous. It's probably scarier if you think about it, because that means they probably can operate on much smaller forms of time. And yet Grimlock is scaling to beings who can destroy those levels of time. So yeah, at the end of the day here, I would say Grimlock takes it mid difficulty, at the most. But hey, that's going to be all for today, you guys. Please comment down below, like and subscribe and share with your friends. This is Legendary Grimlock, and I hope y'all have a blessed day.